Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining this water cooler. I see a lot of familiar faces, but if this is your first time around here, water cooler is the place that we talk about all things life here. If you have a name and topic, if there is something that you want to share with the community, please drop your name and topic in the chat and we'll begin with your name and topic shortly. Each person gets 5 minutes to go through their idea or do their presentation, and then we can have uh, questions as much as you want afterwards. And okay, yeah, we're gonna go for it, Rick. Just before that, I'm gonna share a couple of things very fast. So let me know if you can see my screen, which I hope everyone can see it. The Yeah, the LIP 118 is live on chain for voting. You can currently go and vote. Please make sure you do it. And also the subgraph is broken, so the tally is hidden for now, but the votes are being captured. It's just a subgraph that needs to reindex. The protocol itself is fine. And oh, Rick, do you want to take this part away? Because these are the two things that we want to discuss.
Yeah, I can take it away. So, as people probably noticed, the subgraph broke to an edge case that was in the code base for quite a long time, where it didn't know to handle how one new transaction. So we fixed that. I think I put the fix up on Sunday, but then there was another smaller edge case that was fixed yesterday, and currently it's syncing again. So it should be fixed when the subgraph is fully synced. Just to state, the protocol is functioning correctly. I also added some patches to the Explorer, where so you should be able to unbond, delegate, and also to withdraw your fees. For the withdrawal rewards, I you can do that for rewards that were the, like locked bonding amount before the subgraph broke. But I have a patch that I will put after this call where you can also do that for the ones that you did after that. So then that should also be fully unblocked. The LIP was live, so it was posted on chain on Sunday as well. I think just before the subgraph broke. But I fixed it, I patched it on the Explorer, so you can see it now live again with the voting. And it would be great for you guys to vote. You can find more information on the forum. I can also answer more questions there about this LIP. I think that were my updates from my side.
Yep, thank you very much.
If
Since
you
these
have
are like
questions, they can do it after I think you finish your summary.
Yeah, I'll just share the quick summary and then we can quickly go through the questions. So, as you know, with the opportunities, if there is something that you want to share, you have an idea, you have feedback, or there's a feature request, please let us know. And you can add them to the suggestion pipeline. To check the suggestion pipeline, you can check roadmap.livepeer.org. And in terms of accountability and all of the ongoing projects, we're coming close to the end of the month. So this week and next week are the best time for you to post your updates. We have already some update from the UX analysis on the Explorer, which is done, and the retro is posted on the forum. And there was a new update from Embody. And from the other SPs, there will be also new updates coming in until the end of the month. And beginning of next month, I'm going to put together the wrap for the month and share it with everyone. So yeah, that's basically everything from my side. Before we dive into naming topics, I think if you have any questions on the LIP or the subgraph issue, I think it's the best time to discuss them right now. I can see Mike already posted two comments. How soon will the indexer be back online, and what is the limiting factor? Rick, maybe you can just answer while you're on the stage.
Yeah, I can answer that. I will also do like a tweet and also post it to the delegator Telegram where people asked to keep them up to date. So basically, the subgraph was patched on Sunday. I deployed it. It ran indexing to like 30%, but then it ran into like an indexer-related non-deterministic error. So that's not on all indexers. It was deployed yesterday again, or this morning, I think. At 11 hours ago, it's currently syncing. One of the indexers is at 10%, so it takes a little bit longer. There are no other indexers right now. There's one, I think it's 1.2. And the limiting factor is here is really like the hardware that the indexers use. Some indexers have like better hardware there. I think they can do the indexing better or faster. Others have like less performant hardware. So that's I think the limiting factor right now. As you see at the old subgraph, there were I think 8 indexers. And the last time we synced this was in between I think 10 and 20 hours that was fully done. So, Mike, I hope that answered your question. You can type if you have related questions.
Okay. Yeah.
No
Thank.
problem. And we are planning to go ahead. We had like an opportunity session about like auditing the subgraph because there are these edge cases still in there. It can be improved for performance as well. We are planning to move ahead with our partner to start that audit soon, so these edge cases won't happen in the future again. So our apologies for the inconvenience that it might have caused, but we will keep you posted.
Thank you very much, Rick. Okay, let's dive into naming topics. I think always quick on the draw. The first one is from DeFi. Uh, we also have Doug on stage. Doug, do you have a timeline that you may want to drop off? If so, please let me
It's
know.
fine if Define's ready. He can jump in and go first, and then I can jump in after.
Okay, sure. Define, do you want to come up on the stage?
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Doug. Thank you for having me here. Very glad to give the update on the WeaveSP. We have 3 points for the updates, 3 items. So the first one is the CLI for Punch Compute. We're still working on the CLI. It is on the final stages. Very soon we will call to the orchestrators who have signed up on the form to provide compute. We will give them the one-time codes. Uh, it will be similar to the embody onboarding we have done in the past. So they will get the code, they will get the repository so they can use the CLI, so they can get and install the CLI, and then they will be able to use that to allocate to create compute contracts. Basically, we have already some orders in the backlog from qualified leads that the orchestrators who signed up on the form will be participating for. And we also have personal orders for our own application. So if you are an orchestrator and you haven't signed up on the form yet, I will post it again. We'll post again here on the Discord. Uh, Please take a look at that and sign up very soon. It will be open for you to use the CLI. And then we have the advertisement state. For those who are not aware, we are working in a workflow that allowed us to publish daily content. This is up already, and we are publishing daily content in LinkedIn, um, X, in Instagram and Threads, and we're expanding the social media in which that workflow operates. We will very soon have this on the KPI dashboard of the Atumera site so that you can go and look at what posts exactly were posted daily in what social media, and also be able to look at the impressions and the KPIs of the impressions for week per week. So we're working on that too. And the third item is on the M2 update for the Weave SP. We published on the forum what is our proposed deliverables for the second phase of the WIV-SP, and we are communicating with the foundation and other um, uh, the other reviewers of the SP so that they will give us their feedback. We expect this week to finish with that and finalize it. If you have any feedback on that, we will be very glad to receive it. Just a heads up is that on the second phase, like we're moving towards launching applications that are using other protocols and having them through interconnectedness utilizing its others resources. So we're looking to have Weave operate as a network where every participant who is joining that network is able to utilize through incentive other applications within the network. And also a part of the M2 is to finally release the incentives for third-party builders, which the community has also some members of the community like John have asked about these incentives. They will be live at the end of M2.
Right. Thank you very much,
We'll drop the
Stefan.
URL shortly. If anyone has any question, please feel free to
Yep. Anyone,
ask.
if there is any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat or jump on the stage. I take the silence as there is any questions. So I believe we can move on to the next person. Hi, Doug. Do you want to take it away? Or you?
Thank you. Yeah, let me share my screen here. Great.
Yes.
So everyone who was paying attention in our community last week saw that we hosted a big event last Wednesday for our community where we were able to introduce a bundle of different ideas that lay out an exciting potential future for the project that touch on everything from narrative to product to network to protocol to marketing to more, and sort of bundled it up at least internally as Live Peer 2.0, if you will. If you missed it, check out the forum, and there's a thread that sort of highlights this potential vision and all the updates that go into it. We intentionally shared this early to like the most important people in Live Peer, the builders, the node operators, our delegators, so that they could be part of defining this vision, giving the feedback, shaping which elements are actionable, which ones are not, what parameters may need to look like, and help actually define and build out all of the details. Before just sort of like going off privately and building the whole thing. And the community has stepped up to the challenge and responded in force with lots and lots of feedback, particularly across the forum thread, in the Discord, and most usefully through a Google form that allowed them to provide a lot of detailed feedback on many areas. I know, Rich, you've also been reaching out, talking to a lot of people one-on-one, getting their perspective, finding out what they care about. What I want to do is summarize the key themes of the feedback so far and talk about some next steps. Before I do that, Rich, anything you want to add or acknowledge before I dive into details here?
No, not a huge amount. Just a big thank you to everyone. I think it's awesome that we had 20 responses in the space of like 72 hours. So awesome to see everyone engage, and from my side, from the foundation side, it's going to be critical that people speak up, particularly over the next month or two, when a lot of big decisions get made, a lot of governance processes move forward, and obviously this, as we'll see from Doug and Steph and Chung in the future, there's a huge amount of building to be done. So, thanks everyone for the feedback. I just wanted to say that, well, to tee Doug up and to go into a bit more detail. So, go for it, mate. Do you want to?
Yep. Thanks, Rich, for helping to coordinate a lot of that. Okay, don't have time to go through the whole vision again, but for anyone on the call who who missed it, at a high level, LivePeer 2.0 vision lays out an opportunity for the network that acknowledges agents are going to be assisting humans in creating media and video in the future using AI to assist them in both creation, editing, and sort of all the elements of the media creation distribution stack. And so, we showed a prototype called LivePeer Agent, and we'll look at a demo here that helps people with media planning and execution across a number of tasks. And under the hood, that agent uses the LivePeer network and talks to all the node operators to um, run all of the compute capabilities that are needed to generate media. So those look like, video generations and audio generations and stitching and muxing and calling AI models, whether they're running locally on GPUs or passed through to third-party services. And the end result is LivePeer Agent really helps humans go through the process of creating the media that they need for many different use cases. So more in that forum thread, click through to watch the presentation, to see the demos. We'll see another demo right after I share the feedback. But I'll highlight the feedback. Sorry, I also didn't mention this suggests a bunch of protocol updates that are important to address some of the challenges we've been facing on the network in terms of understanding how LPT captures value as fees in the network rise, making sure that incentives only flow to those that are productively doing real work and helping the network, and not just sort of flowing to quote unquote free riders who are passively watching in non-contributing ways. So let's take a look at the key feedback themes. First of all, I'm going to show some charts that summarize the Google form responses. Doesn't capture all the feedback. There was lots in the forum and Discord. We got about 20 really detailed responses. People wrote essays that got summarized into some of the main ideas. Not everyone answered every question. So just to give a glimpse, most respondents, 60%, identified as orchestrators, right? Some identified as builders and token holders. And I think the other category probably, if I had to take a guess, would be represented by team members within SPEs or within live peering companies that also weighed in with opinions themselves. How well do people feel they understood the updates presented today? We did okay here. If you think 8, 9, and 10s are a pretty strong indication that people, understood, we got, 11 out of 17 are on the higher end of the spectrum here, with a couple following close behind in the 6 and 7 range. Clearly, a few people, if you give a 5, a 6, a 3, probably didn't feel like they understood it. That is very natural. The 2.0 presentation described many changes and many sort of intense protocol updates in only a few seconds, where each topic deserves its own essay and forum thread and community discussions, and we'll have all of those. But it was very common that people indicated, hey, I like this general vision, but I don't understand the details yet or how it's going to work. And so lots more info to come to provide specifications and details over time. This one I like. How excited are you by the new vision and updates? Right here, we had 12 out of 17 really on the high end of the spectrum, very excited. Right, where we had 4 people a little more neutral and 1 person a little bit negative or disappointed in the vision. I think this is about as good as you can hope after hour presentation on a very complex, wide-ranging topic. We can always work on our storytelling. And again, this wasn't a public-facing marketing launch to the broader market. It's really intended just for the community that's going to help shape and build out how this all works. But we can learn a lot and get input on how we package this up in a really easy to consume way for the broader market, right? How do people feel about each proposed protocol change? The one that had sort of the most um, support was the burn mint equilibrium / token burn model, without describing the details. And of course, people have questions, but people seem to feel positive about the notion that some of the fees in the network would be used to buy and burn LPT, which controls the LPT supply in the future and ties directly into how people see value accruing to the LivePeer token over time and helping it become more scarce. Right, that had pretty broad support. In some of the other categories, I think a new validator set. We introduced a new role of a validator that subjectively ensures that nodes are doing like proper work on the network. Generally, people felt positive about this, but they had a lot of questions about the details of how that set would be elected, governed, and just work within the protocol, which is natural as those details were not all disclosed, right? I think if you look at the fixed bond per node and 90-day unbonding period for running nodes. Those created a little bit more uncertainty, right? A lot of people expressed they actually need more info before they can weigh in on that. Very fair response, and the work we all have to do as a community to spec that out and get input on the parameters and decide exactly how these concepts should work, right? So in general, people felt pretty supportive, though more info needed across topics. Um, yeah, just summarize some of this. The most positive reactions were around the live peer agent itself and that it could address tangible use cases and go to market today, right? Nothing in this big vision is actually blocking us from validating that live peer agent is useful, solves real problems for users, and growing usage on the network through live peer agent and the iterations of that product, which is a open source live peer network project, not a company driven initiative, right? People felt positively about the LPT value accrual story, in particular the burn mint equilibrium model that is proposed at a high level but needs a rigid specification. And yeah, people felt positive about this concept of the validator set, judging non-performing nodes and trying to prevent rewards from flowing to them. Though people did express many concerns around specific unknowns that are not fully defined in exactly how that will work or could work. So clearly a lot more work to do there. Um, so those were the positive reactions. Summarizing the main questions or concerns that people had. There are many across the board and many on really, really fine details, like what's the appropriate value of a parameter in terms of an unbonding period or, in the burn mint equilibrium, what percent of fees initially should be used to buy and burn tokens, right? These are detailed discussions that we'll have. But if you really zoom out and summarize all the feedback, I think there were three main areas that really got the focus. One was sort of questioning the strategic direction. Like, are we building the right thing? Is an agent first approach for people generating, media in this new age the right strategic direction to be building in when there's a lot of well-funded closed proprietary competitors? And the underlying capabilities of our network to date have been GPU compute. What's it mean to pass through compute to other providers? These were like strategic questions that people brought up, right? Another like big thematic category was the design of the protocol mechanics, right? Are they sound, right? The protocol changes were underspecified in the 1 hour presentation, and even the initial blog post suggests potential, starting values for these parameters, but it leaves the rigid definition for a later process. It's work to be done, and it's not work to be done in a silo by one person. It actually requires all of the like input and feedback from all the roles in our network, the node operators, the delegators, the potential validators. And so that's going to be a fast moving but transparent community centric process where everyone has the chance to weigh in and shape that, right? Um, and then the sort of third category was questioning the delivery. This is a bold, ambitious vision that touches everything. Can we actually execute it all? Right? We've seen, various initiatives over the last, couple of years to try and focus on just generating demand, or small initiatives to address token economics that have sort of come up short on execution or sort of died in the community consensus building process, right? Like if we move at that pace and have to build in total consensus on everything before we move forward, we stand no chance at enacting changes of this scale and scope on a fast pace in order to make an impact before the end of the year, right? And so I think those are fair concerns, but something that we need a plan for. So I've addressed many of these at a high level in a post that I published in that forum thread that announces the 2.0 path. Here, I just shared in the chat a direct link to my response that weighs in on each of these areas. And I'm not going to summarize all of that feedback here. You can go in and read the post. But I do address some misconceptions that I think should quell people's concerns. Namely, this is like an open source approach that uses the live peer network directly and enables us to like go to market direct for the live peer network, which is something that has really been sort of lacking over the years and something that I'm really excited about. Right? It's not like one company building a closed bundled product that hides the network from all users, and I think that's a big thing to grasp. Right. The other thing that's highlighted in this post is just emphasized over and over again, there is a lot of work to be done still to make this vision, complete and to ship the full elements of it, and that can happen over time. The good news is, as I said, the sort of product validation and go to market and growth of usage of the network can begin happening immediately. It is unblocked, while things like the protocol um, design process, build out, testing, simulation, governance updates, that'll take longer to play out. That only matters if we succeed on demand generation and the product is driving usage. And once the protocol and incentive updates are implemented, it's like a superpower. That's what charges the supply side, puts the incentives in place, rewards high performers. And so we want to move fast on that, but it's okay if that takes a little longer than actually generating usage, which solves all, and that's all that sort of is needed to orient everyone. So I am excited. The sort of the last main theme that's emphasized over and over is again how much of a community process this is going to be. What will happen next is we can actually dive into the details. We can start topic specific, forum threads to solve the open problems and the open questions, and we will schedule, open community calls that anyone can join to talk about specific topics if they're interested in helping to shape them, specifically around the protocol design, the economic incentives, orchestrator earnings, the validator role, all those I'm excited to do. So look for, within the next week, look for the first couple of those calls to be scheduled, and look for, forum posts to start popping up immediately for those who are interested in jumping into design topics. Um, Great. That is it for the presentation. I can take a couple questions if anyone has any, but I'm also excited to hand it over to Steph to show the latest Live Peer Agent demo and give people, a visual uh, look into some of what's been built and what our opportunity is here. Also happy to answer questions after that too.
I have a question. I would like to prelude the question with a comment. When I saw the whole presentation, I really liked it. And one of the thoughts that I had, which was on the less positive side, it was that this is an amazing update for the protocol, but I would be way more excited if I was looking at that at year 2025 or year 2024. This is still amazing, but it is not meta enough in the sense that after LivePeer 2.0, how agents are moving and how AI models are becoming more intelligent, eventually we will went towards LivePeer 3.0 or LivePeer 2.1 in the sense that we will ask from the agent to get more responsibility, to get more functions. And this was something that I was a bit disappointed that wasn't included, even on a rudimentary form, and something that was allowing LivePeer to, through the agents, to be able to do more, to have, for example, a protocol brain, to have some functions that allowed third-party cloud agents to understand the protocol, to measure the protocol independently. Is there any place for that in LivePeer 2.0, or you're looking more into the harness implementation as they were specified in the forum.
Thanks for the feedback and the question. That came across as a little abstract to me. So if I try and understand it, you said, is there any opportunity for the agent to have more of a protocol brain, or to allow third parties to either implement agents, or for their agents to have more insight into what's going on in the protocol than what you see in the sort of initial demo and forum post that describes it. Does that summarize the question appropriately?
A bit, so I will try to make it a bit less abstract. So if you extrapolate on how AI models are evolving, they're able to do um, human tasks and have human judgment more and more. So eventually, it may be in half a year, and maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, they will be able to be placed in in full-time jobs and have their own judgment. So, for example, the validation in the future almost surely will be able to be done from agents. And this can be done from all the other positions that you normally right now you require humans to do. And so if you have an abstraction of a live peer agent that is not just a harness, but is a cloud agent that is able to do tasks, to get information, to have a role in the ecosystem that is broader, uh, then I would that would really make it 10x more interesting and market-wise too, I think.
Okay, great. I think that theme is very compatible and addressable. I might have to respond in like specifics rather than nailing the whole abstract theme you're talking about. But you mentioned like the role of validators, and that should probably be played by agents instead of humans, right? The protocol 100% supports that. And I think I actually mentioned that as a very valid strategy for a validator slot on the network to campaign around. This scoring is done by an agent rather than myself, right? The and that agent is using a strategy where it's observing all of the network activity, where the payments are coming, like what work that node is serving, the patterns of whether that's real work or likely to be self-dealing or someone's trying to game it. It could be running its own testing and evaluation framework, right? And that plugs in perfectly to the protocol itself, and that might be where stakes should flow to delegate towards those types of validators if they're shown to be more effective, right? So it's just an example. That's a big topic I'd love to dive into in the sort of the validator um, specification space. Um, but that's completely compatible with the protocol. And then as far as like the network itself and the capabilities, I do want to just reemphasize. One point of feedback was some people were saying, oh, it feels like agent is a specific project and it's a big bet around live peer agent, right? That's just a brand name for the media planning and execution MCP, which allows agents to use this network effectively. But the protocol itself allows node operators to expose this universe of capabilities and to compete in the marketplace on their quality of service, on their pricing, and their performance on those capabilities. And that abstraction is still there. It's completely open. It holds and it allows people to build, or agents to build different agents that leverage the network, much like you're doing. In a permissionless and unstoppable way. Nothing about the media planning and execution um, sort of node on top prohibits that. So hopefully, it enables the ambition that you're talking about when it comes to looking around the corner for the future. Um, yeah, don't know if I nailed every detail there, but those are like two thoughts that come to mind in response to what you're talking about.
No, it makes sense. Thank you for answering the question. I suppose the validators, all of them, they will run agent. Then you also have the question, okay, if everyone is running the almost the same agent or the same agentic workflow to validate, then why we have validator and why we are not using some deterministic way of deploying agents um, as a protocol so that we can vote and we don't need to pay all these people. I think this is also a reliable way that we might want to skip paying for validators and instead just have
I
a
have a
way.
response to that, but that's like the exact sort of detail that we should discuss in the breakout validator threads and community discussion points.
Absolutely.
Really interesting, right? I love that stuff. So we will dive in and debate whether we want to prioritize like diversity of competing agentic approaches versus human subjectivity, and should state prioritize that diversity versus will it all converge on one, and how much do you have to pay for it, right? Those are all the right questions to ask. So excited to pick those up. Cool. Let's take a look at the latest demo and keep this moving and make sure we have time for everything.
Yeah, great. I can take over. Can everyone hear me okay? Good, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, great. So I know many of you have had a chance to create some initial generations with Live Peer Agent. It's been super fun to see those coming through in the alpha product testing channel, which if you guys aren't in that channel, drop a link here in the chat, along with the quick get started instructions for Live Peer Agent. Yeah, would love to see what you guys are generating, if you're finding any friction, if anything's cumbersome, what's exciting or surprising. Again, just like please bring product observations there, and we're tracking bug reports, improvement requests, etc. All right, so maybe I'll start with just a quick recap on what is the Live Peer Agent, and let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Okay, great. So yeah, what is a Live Peer Agent? So the Live Peer Agent is an open video harness. Doug covered a bit of this, but it speaks to your agent right in the native environment, and it runs all on the Live Peer network. It's a custom MCP connector that you can use the CLI locally. And just a note on some language here. So the agent itself is the 50,000 plus lines of code that Chung wrote as the proof of concept for what was called Storyboard. That branding sort of exists out in the ether, which we're going to begin deprecating over the next few weeks and cleaning up. But you can imagine that the Live Peer agent takes the work of Storyboard and the work of that Josh and John and Rick and others are doing on the runner and the billing infrastructure, and it packages it all up as the Live Peer agent. And the agent, I think as Doug mentioned earlier, it's still in the alpha testing phase. So bear with me on some of the assets that are out in the ether as we're sequencing that work of product validation. Okay, so for today, I wanted to actually bring us back to this Seekers agent trailer that I played last week as part of the Live Peer 2.0 community presentation. Here, I'll turn the music down so it's not super loud, but I want to share this because I wanted to emphasize how I made this entirely using Live Peer Agent and Cowork. I'm going to put an asterisk on entirely because I did bring a script and about 10 images that I had generated from Midjourney, but then I took those images into Live Peer Agent and altered them further using it. This was a fairly complex workflow that here we go, let me pull this up. It's a fairly complex workflow with like 20 plus iterations on the video. There was like roughly 30 plus more generations across various components of the video, including the typography, the image generation, environment rendering, character and wardrobe consistency, which is what I want to showcase more today. But I mentioned this last week, but I did this all for under $35 and over the course of 2.5 days. And what I'm showing you here is the robustness of the assets that I worked on with Live Peer Agent. And because I'm using it through Cowork, it saves everything locally for me here. And a note about the script, I wrote this about an imaginary new industrial film about an agent who receives a message from an anonymous source. And the agent here in the film is portrayed as a human in some sort of spacesuit, but you can imagine the metaphor here is the agent is, of course, the LivePeer agent. And the terminal that the agent was sitting at the beginning, on the other side of that, you can imagine that you're in Claude or Codex, and the intent that we give to the LivePeer agent shows up as that mysterious receipt from the terminal here in the film. And then the agent carries it back over to the Machina Mundi, which is over here, which is just Latin for world machine. And you can imagine the world machine being the LivePeer network. He feeds the receipt in, gets the information or the things, the models. And here you can see this, it sort of instigates this bloom. And you can kind of get the metaphor here, right? He grabs the info from the LivePeer network, and then he will then take it back to the his terminal, feed it back in. So the trick here is as he puts the receipt back into the terminal, on the screen is a thing that was happening in real life. So again, this is sort of just representative of the LivePeer protocol and network project. But I'm showing this because behind this 50-second film and sort of like the clever, consistent details is the invisible work of the LivePeer agent, which, obviously doesn't come through in its complexity in the output alone. So and the LivePeer agent's character consistency capabilities is one of the things that I want to showcase, as this is the thing that many users want after cost and speed. So just initially acknowledging that there's a composite cap to the model capabilities, but the LivePeer agent has tools and skills for encoding this object and character consistency. And Chung helped build a character and object consistency cheat sheet that I used to create the reference materials for this film, and also used it to train Aloras. I'll drop that sheet into the chat once I'm done here, but a great place to start is by creating character sheets and the agent instructions for consistency that can be referenced over and over. So before I show you how we do that in Claude, I just want to show you what this looks like in practice. So here are the character sheets that I created with Storyboard. What you can see is there's, a rear view, a 3/4 view. There's a dynamic view for a walk. You can see some work I did on the foot here. It didn't totally render perfectly, but I was trying to move quickly through the demo, so I think we're good here. And there's a section here about what not to drift. For the sake of this film, the face is never shown for one instance. And yeah, I think you can kind of understand the point there. And here's the wardrobe sheet as another example. So I worked pretty specifically with the agent on the material. I wanted it to be something that was like clearly technical, but could be perceived as maybe otherworldly. And yeah, so these were all created with LivePeer agent, saved locally to my folder. And okay, why does this now matter? I'm going to show how we can create these character sheets for a film that Titan was working on. My Claude now. Okay, so I staged the prompt here for us. Basically, I'm asking Storyboard to build character sheets and consistency instructions for the characters in an imaginary game called League of Reeds, which is a generation that Titan had made and shared in the alpha channel. And says create agent instructions that'll help me generate a full continuous video, refer to this guide, and start by producing character sheets for me to approve. So I'm going to send it through, and what I'll show you on the side here is I've got Storyboard connected. Like I said, we'll be deprecating this in the coming weeks, but this is LivePeer agent. And what's it doing here? So it's pulling both references. It's searching the web because I gave it some, I gave it an HTML. And now it's going to ask me to make some decisions. So how should I define the 5 champions? Balanced MOBA roster. I'm going to go with this. I forget what MOBA stands for right now, but I'm sure all the gamers in the audience can correct me. How locked in should the art style be? I want it to match the mood board exactly. It's telling me that's what's recommended anyway. Great. What format for the deliverable? So I'm actually going to ask, so I would ask for Markdown documents as it saves to my local folder, but I'm also going to ask for an HTML HTML artifact plus agent instructions as an MD. Okay, it's thinking. I want to see what it pulls up as a in direct response, and then because I prepared this as a cooking demo, in some ways, I'm going to show you what it generated earlier with the same prompt. And actually, maybe we can jump in here and take a look. Okay, so while that one is doing its thing, here is the HTML artifact that I generated earlier using the same prompt. So created this reference Bible and created a house style lock, which you can then use to train a LoRa's, which is what I did for our trailer. And now we have the character. So here's Crystal Warden. There's an anchor block. You can use this to paste into the top of future prompts regarding this character. There's also ways, again, you can train it into the agent itself. It has wardrobe items, a signature object, and it made all these decisions on its own. If I was really doing this purposefully, I would go in and add more specificity, but I want to show like how it's able to make all these decisions for you. And so anyone can really get started right away. So we got some great character sheets, and look at Stone Sentinel. And so, yeah, now that we have these character sheets, we also have this instructions for consistency saved as an MD. And then we can, these are just some more of the hero shots of the characters. And then from there, we can say, hey, extend this trailer by to 30 seconds, reference the character sheets. I'm not going to do it right now because it'll take a lot longer, but I'm running a generation on this, and we'll share the final output in the chat after. But yeah, I hope this was useful, because I know folks are doing some initial generations, and I hope that this can get folks even deeper into making cool things. And happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you very much, Steph. That was really interesting. Anyone, any questions?
What was the step that you took or the language that you used such that Claude knows to use live peer agent under the hood versus taking an alternative approach to complete your task?
Yeah, I think it knows me enough at this point because I've been using it so often. But typically, I would just start with use a storyboard MCP, and then I'm off and running. And then once I have it memorized, or once that's done in the initial chat, it just remembers it through the rest of the session.
Great. And then under the hood, as you were generating those characters and whatnot, what it was doing was choosing, what models would be appropriate for a task based on all the capabilities available on the live peer network, discovering which nodes offer those capabilities, and then submitting those requests to those nodes, paying them, and receiving the outputs back.
Yeah, exactly. And so let me see if I can pull up what it's showing now. So let's see. First, it started by searching the web. Now it's building its task list for the character sheet. So it's adding these tasks, and now let's see. It created some. Actually, we won't open it right now, but it's creating some agent instructions. I mean, this looks like it's creating the agent instructions now, and yeah, the thing that's true about the image generation is it's doing it quickly because it's pulling from, just because it's a simple gen, but here is the more details on what it has done. Of course, it's not opening in the HTML preview. Here, let's open it in Dia. Here you go. Okay, so this was the one it just did this time. It's something completely different. But ultimately we look at this one.
Steph,
I don't think we're seeing
yeah,
your
we're not
dia
seeing
window,
Dia.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay, sure. Sorry. Let me pull it up. It did something completely different. Here we go. It's funny because I've run this one. Can you all see it now?
yep.
Okay, great. I've run this one. Maybe this is probably the 5th time I've run this, and because I was general in the prompt, it gave back 4 or 5 different character sheets, but within the character sheets themselves are the consistency prompts. They're seem to be aligned on their style. If this was be a slightly different type of trailer. I don't know if y'all just heard that. That was lightning outside my house. It was a big thunder. But yeah, so this was the generation from this one.
Actually, I was just chiming in to help elaborate on what's happening underneath the hood and how it connects to Live here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And a quick question from my side, Steph. Is there a cheat sheet for people to understand how can they generate stuff? Because like there is, I think, a big difference between asking Live Agent to generate a trailer for me that does this, in comparison to like generate a trailer with Loras with like the cheat sheet, and also make sure that you do this and that, and like be very specific on how you frame your prompt. Is there any like document, anything in playbooks on that?
Yeah, so I'll drop another demo that shows how basically with any intent you can just drop into Claude or into your native agent interface, say use Storyboard MCP to create a 10-second trailer of last week I was showing a princess turtle that guards a gem tower. It's something that my son was asking for. And similarly to what we saw with the process with me putting in the prompt to generate character sheets, if you just go in with a really basic intent like this, the live peer agent will start by asking you to make some decisions. So in the way that it said, hey, do you want what style do you want these character sheets to be in? What do you want the final delivery to be in? The live peer agent is prompting you with those decisions. So similarly, if you go, here, maybe we can just see, I'm happy to, let's try it. So we can just say, use MCP, the storyboard, CP to create we'll just call it 10-second trailer for, let's call it a slug stuck in a rainstorm. That's an ad for slug umbrellas. And I'm just going to leave access to the folders it has here. Let's see. Okay, so it's saying I'll create a 10-second slug umbrella and trailer using storyboard. Let me clarify a couple creative choices first. Okay, so it's saying what visual style should the trailer have? So this is the agent asking specifically. We'll say cute Pixar-ish. How should the ad land in its message? Funny hero rescue. Sounds great. And then add audio to the video. Sure, we'll do music only. And so I guess what I'm trying to demonstrate here, right, is that like you can come in with something as simple as this, or we can go kind of to the workflow I was showing you before. You can start with a script. You can then build character sheets and have that be consistent across an entire trailer. And obviously, it's more advanced, but anyone could get started doing something simple like this. Okay, so it's asking to list the capabilities from storyboard. And yeah, Doug, I mean, help if I'm missing some of the narrative around what's happening on the back end, like yeah, please feel free to jump in. But I'm trying to show here that it's pulling out its progress, identifying what it's going to actually go and do, and this is all the agent, the LivePeer agent. So it's going to generate a hero image, generate trailer video scenes, add music, and assemble the final trailer. And all right, it's saying it's going to use Nano Banano, which is interesting because Nano Banano has been failing quite a bit, and then it goes and pulls, the agent goes and pulls a different model. So we'll see if maybe it does that this time. And it's saying the estimated cost is 70 cents.
Yeah, that's an interesting point just to highlight for everyone. Nano Banana is the Google model, right? It's not, no one's running that on their local GPUs on the LivePeer network. That means, in LivePeer 2.0, node operators can, potentially pass through to access that model to serve the agent if the agent's making this choice, but node operators exposing other high performing image models that are local to their GPUs that are far cheaper, but of comparable quality, would allow the agent to evaluate that choice and maybe get the user's input on cost requirements and plan to use one of the local models at a lower cost, or at least allow the user to review the options, make their choice before going forward generating many images, right? So it's all part of the interactive process where our operators are providing all the capabilities the agents and the users might want, so they come to use LivePeer, but also providing all the open, cost-effective alternatives that the agents can tap into for their advantages.
Thank you very
Cool.
much.
And yeah, another
Yeah. Good stuff.
yeah, another thing I wanted to just point out here quickly, I guess, is the so additionally it's like making some decisions, right? So it's actually it's identified a full prompt here, Pixar style 3D animated scene, adorably chubby, da da da. And I think this is like this is a nice thing to point out that like in lieu of when there's a lack of information, or it starts to make these creative decisions and can do that on its own. So again, to anyone who's just getting started, the agent is robust enough to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm happy to keep this up if we want to see what happens. I'm also happy to drop it in at the end.
I think it would be better if we can drop it in the end. We're a bit over
Yep.
time, so I think we have only Rich and John in the pipeline. Rich, you wanted to talk about the feedback on Life Here 2.0. Is there anything else you want to touch on? Or was that also like aligned with what Doug shared already? Rich? Okay, I assume we lost Rich. John, do you want to come up on stage and share about Parent Clearinghouse?
Sorry, I had to jump on
Oh,
baby duty. Oh,
oh,
1 second.
no worries. Hey, John, how are you?
Hey everyone, good. How are you?
Good, thank you very much. I think you can go first, as Rich is unavailable momentarily.
Sure. Yeah, I was gonna run a quick. There we go. I think I've got Claude working with us too, so I'm gonna follow up with a neat demo here. Yeah, a minute. I'll share full screen. So today I just wanted to come on and give an update on where we're at with the LivePeer Payment Clearinghouse project. A lot of work has been going on into Payment House and supporting Chung and building out the bring your own container capabilities with LivePeer Agent. And also just aligning that work with the current mission of the Payment Clearinghouse and being able to meter usage properly. So there's been some changes on the live runner side with how we bill by time versus pixels for different types of jobs to enable this wider array of capabilities in the network. So over the past week, I've been aligning the usage tracking and open meter to support these types of jobs. One of the changes is allowing more precise calculation of fees, so they go down to a smaller unit. This can be seen on like the all requests screen here. And then on sessions, you can now see that there's linked sessions. So if we look at a stream like this, these are all the tickets that were signed throughout the duration of the 177-second stream and the total cost for the stream. So it gives you really good fine-grained view into the session management of the gateway and the performance of user spilling and so forth. Um, so I made some updates here where I can basically filter. You can filter if you have multiple apps, or if you're, in my case, an admin, you can view and help troubleshoot other users that are building on the on Payment Clearinghouse. So if there's like an app like Storyboard that Chung has been working on, I can now see the requests that are coming in. And he's been testing with like BYOC, Flux, Chanel, and a few others. Let's see. I think it's just about all the updates I have really on this payment house side. But I do want to go ahead and jump to where we are because I have not put an update on the forum yet. I'm planning to write that today. I've been kind of putting it off because I didn't really have a great solid update on some of these details, but I'm going to try to cover where we're at today. On the milestone side, we have closed out milestone 1 and 2, and we're currently on deliverable 3, which is the administrative API wrapper. And this is really the biggest piece. It's already been drafted, 2 different languages, I think Go and Node.js. But the whole premise of this is that when you authenticate a user, you need to create a customer in uh, in OpenMeter and then subscribe them to a plan that bills based on the meters and the LivePeer network and all those bootstrap scripts, right? So, so yeah, I hope that it makes sense. Sorry, I saw some messages fly and I was get distracted. So yeah, that's what we're working on is the administrative API wrapper at the moment. This Go Bootstrap CLI that kind of connects everything together is the current candidate for that. Obviously, I think everyone knows like Rick has been doing a lot of the reviews, and then of course working on this release and the Explorer breaking. We've just been very strapped with resources to get everything through. But I've been, again, working through Payment House and prototyping this out so that we can support builders who are building on the network already. See if there's any updates I have else to add. So we have so far merged the identity webhook. There's changes needed to the OpenMeter collector. It just improves the parsing and association of apps and users. And then there's some changes needed to the bootstrap scripts for just creating the right type of subscription plans and subscribing users to those plans. And then we'll ship the API. So as I mentioned last week, I think the project is still around about a week and a half behind. A lot of this work is actually already completed. We're at about a 14-day lag at the moment. So hopefully this week we can continue to merge the API and roll this out later in the week. I did want to do a quick demo of how this works with, I wrote a quick MCP server as we were talking, as Steph was demonstrating a LivePeer agent. And we have like an LLM capability in the network called Hello World. And I've just added like a capability, a tool for that, an MCP server, so it calls Hello World. And then in Payment House, you should be able to see that usage come through. There we are at 3:08 p.m. for BYOC example Hello World. So that's really cool how we've got agents interacting with the network and able to soon see all the capabilities in the network, and then also being able to build an app where you can pay for it. Another example of this whole kit, if you think about from a platform builder, a business who wants to build a platform on LivePeer, this is an example application, and you can integrate with their builder SDK. This token here will go directly into the SDK and run with a single flag. It pre-configures the signer and the discovery URLs, or you can get an administrative token for your own account. There's usage tracking in here as well. So if I was to use that token, you would see the usage per job capability here. This is built towards my subscription plan. I haven't really built out the credits on the builder API as much. They are there, but there's no like UI BFFs that you can import yet for that. But but yeah, I just wanted to kind of illustrate all of how this fits together. I've also added that request calls list here, and I know this is more of just a demo implementation, but it kind of gives an idea of what a platform app might look like. I'm happy to take any questions. I think that's all I've got today. And like I said, I know we're behind on the project deliverable timeline, but definitely planning to wrap this up within the next 2 weeks or 1.5 week.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you for the update. Any questions from anyone?
One
I
other point I wanted to toss in there is just like, I'm looking at scoping an SPE, a longer term SPE, but I do want to, prompt the community to think about what this looks like as shared signer infrastructure for the community and as a network product. There's a lot of options, and I'll probably write this in more detail in the forum post soon. But I think we have obviously the option of funding an SPE and creating a commercial platform. But there's also a lighter version of this that might just be involved with running some of the usage and billing infrastructure as a community, and then allowing more clearinghouses to be built. So obviously, the goal of this project is to create a reusable open source clearinghouse, and then to upstream that into payment house. We still have a little ways to go to get this project completed. But at the end of the day, the core of this is the Kafka, the open meter, and the remote signer. So everything beyond that, can be customized, especially with OIDC cross domain.
Awesome. Thank you very much, John. I don't think there is any questions, but feel free to leave them in the chat if there is any. Same as all the other water coolers, we're gonna do a shout out in the end. So if you have any shout out for anyone in the community, someone that you've worked with, and you want to appreciate their work, feel free to share it. I'm going to start it from my side and give a shout out to Steph for all the work that she's been doing and talking to a lot of customers, a lot of different people to really understand where LivePeer Agent can uh, be a leverage and be a wedge in the market. That's amazing job. Thank you to Steph. And also thank you, John, for the payment clearinghouse. I was using it. I'm still a bit struggling with it, but it made it a lot easier to work with the network.
That's really exciting to hear. I'm hoping to get the docs updated this week as well and add a little more clarity there. And let me know if anyone has questions on building and needs help. I'd be happy to reach out. Some of the new live runner capabilities are a bit, kind of spotty as far as availability on the network, but the current live video to video capabilities are very widely available, and it's really cool to see it scale with the modular infrastructure.
Awesome. Also, Rick mentioned shout out to Steph and Doug for sure. Yeah, shout out to Doug. Any other shout outs? Shout out to Rick for working 10 hours yesterday and 14 hours the day before to keep the Explorer and Subgraph running. We really appreciate you, Rick, and hopefully we don't see these edge cases anymore. Thank you very much. Any more shout outs to anyone? Okay, I see Steph typing. Okay, yeah. Maybe not. Maybe that was it. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining this call and spending an hour and 14 minutes with us in this water cooler. And have an amazing week. And yeah, drop any comment and feedback you have on LivePeer Agent in the chat that Steph just mentioned. Have a great week ahead and goodbye.